it is so awesome to see so many of you in this room today. Let's give Star Babatoon a round of applause. Yes, yes, give her a round of applause. Listen, this is about sisterhood, this is about fellowship, but more importantly, it's about you today. As you saw in my reel, this has been quite the journey, would you agree? Man, I've been through hairstyles, hair color, sizes from St. John, you name it. I have done it, but all in this journey of helping women take ownership of their financial success. And that is why you're here today. And so our theme is the Legacy Wealth Blueprint, and it is all about legacy today. I'm grateful because my daughter has graced me with her presence this morning. That certainly is about legacy. My husband is here. He is the wind beneath my wings, as you all know. He's always the gentleman in the background, quiet. But this is about legacy, and today what I'm grateful for is we have legacy in the room with us today. We have members who have brought their daughters because they understand the power of legacy. And I understand it too. And so what I want you to know is this journey has been filled with ups and downs, but I've never given up because I will never give up on you. And I'll tell you, it all began with this woman. She was the daughter of a sharecropper from Pineapple, Alabama. And she would sit in those fields and she would dream of the day when she would go far, far away from there. And as chance would have it, she would go to the big city, Camden, Alabama. And she would spot this nice young man carrying a briefcase, and they chatted, and he promised her that they would see the world. They got married, and this is her graduation picture, but she actually left school 3 months before graduation to follow my father. He joined the Navy, and their first child was born in Washington, D.C. Their second child was born in Honolulu, Hawaii. And then they came back to Detroit, and they settled, and they had 3 more children. And as their incomes grew, certainly their lives and their standard of living grew. And I was the 5th, the baby, as they called me. And that woman poured everything that she could into me. There were ballet lessons, there were piano lessons, there was private high school, and she gave me a blueprint. And it was the only blueprint that she saw others have. And that blueprint was to get a great education, to have a career, to make 6 figures, to have a big house, to have all the things. And then 30 years of marriage later, getting ready to settle for retirement, they moved back to that idyllic place in Honolulu, Hawaii. And after a few short years, they separated. And I saw my mother's standard of living go from solid middle class to just above poverty. And I was in my first year of college. And I said to myself, I would always have a purse of my own. Because what I realized as I went on was that my mother's story was not the exception, it was the rule. Listen, ladies, 9 out of 10 of you will be responsible for your own finances. You will either never marry, you will either marry or divorce, or like my parents, separate, or your husband will predecease you. So when that happened, I said to my mother, don't worry about me. You've done all you could for me, and I've got the blueprint. And it just so happened that one day I stumbled into a Merrill Lynch office because a friend of mine got me a foot in the door. Anybody ever needed a foot in the door? And when I got in that office, I'm telling you, when I started my career, I felt like it was something like a different world. You know, my first interview, when I went in, there was this ticker symbol. going above the receptionist desk. And I thought, what is this? How come I never heard about this? Well, I'll tell you, as I went on in my career, first with Merrill Lynch, and then had a pretty fast trajectory at Fidelity, went from financial consultant to branch manager to vice president to manager, managing the West Coast marketing, and spending all of my time with high net worth individuals. Anybody want to guess that what I figured out? What do you think I figured out? Anybody want to guess? I figured out I had been given the wrong blueprint. Are y'all with me? You see, what I began to understand was what wealthy people did was they didn't buy the things. So the things, the big house, the big cars, all the things, they invested in the things. And at that point, I realized I needed a different blueprint, and so did a lot of other people. And so through that journey, you saw me going on, and you know, I went from writing my first book, Confident Investing. And in that book, I poured everything I knew into it. And then I toured with Bishop Jakes, and I thought, surely, playing arenas and being in front of hundreds of thousands of women, that it would change things, and I could give the right blueprint. And then I wrote my next book, A Purse of Your Own. And we were in did a PBS special, and it aired, and hundreds of thousands of people saw that special. And yet, what I began to understand was that people didn't need information. What people needed was the ability to apply that information. And that is when, over the past decade, I launched Wealthy You. And it was there that I had this idea that I could actually transfer the knowledge that I had discovered to women, and that through community, through coaching, through accountability, they could achieve the same kind of financial success that those women can. And so in here is living proof that that blueprint works, because many of the women who now have applied that legacy wealth blueprint are now, who in here is on their way to their first 6 figures? Who in here is on their way to their first 7 figures? Who in here is looking towards 7 figures and beyond? What I want you to know is when you have the right blueprint, amazing things that can happen. And today, for all of those who are listening virtually, what I also want you to know is that's what today is about. Today is about exposing you to the right blueprint. And in all of you have workbooks, you have your workbooks online, so this is not going to be just a conference. This is going to be, for some of you who are already members of Wealthy you having a reset. For some of you, it is going to mean that you're going to actually make that 7-figure blueprint. But as Star said, it is not about what side are you on? Are you on the side that says, I don't know, she's talking about 7-figure wealth, I don't know if I'm about that. Is that you? Okay. Are you in the middle and you say, I don't know, I love everything Miss Owens talk about, so I'm going to try it. Are you in that set? All right. Are you in this set? You're already in Wealthy You. You're on your way, and you know the power of having the right blueprint. So today, ladies, what you're going to be able to see is actual women who've applied this blueprint and who are in my most recent book, Wealth Secrets. Those women are stepping out of the pages, and you're going to meet many of them today. You're going to meet each each part, each step in the blueprint, you're going to meet a woman who applied that blueprint and had her financial transformation. But what I want you to know is that it is not about you. What wealth really is about, it is about legacy. And legacy is about you taking the knowledge that you learn and passing it on to your family. You see, that was my first aha, is that the knowledge that you're going to get access to today, that knowledge is inherited. It is not taught through your formal education. You see, one of the other things that I was exposed to is that in those offices, in meetings with our high net worth clients, when their children became of age, they were brought into the investor center, and they would sit down with our private bankers, and those private bankers would tell them all about the assets they would receive now that they were an adult. They were told that this wealth had been passed on from generation to generation. So I got a question for y'all. On your 18th or 21st birthday, were you taking it to anybody's private client office, and did they sit you down and tell you about all of the wealth that you're going to receive? No. And so what I want you to understand is that is what this is about. This is about legacy. And legacy wealth means that you will acquire the knowledge, the blueprint, and then you're going to pass that on to your children and your family. And ladies, what I want you to know is that that's when everything changed. So that next picture, if we can bring the picture up, that's me on my graduation. And so imagine this young woman very soon going from college, finding herself in this financial services arena, and telling my mother that I would do whatever it takes, but then realizing that I had been given the wrong blueprint. Well, what I want you to know is the real value of the knowledge that I gained was not just for me, but it is about legacy. And it's at this time I would like to invite my daughter, Olivia, up to just share a few words, and I will interview her about how being exposed to this information at a very early age impacts you. It changes the game. It's not only the knowledge, it's the confidence that it provides you with. Now, so I thought it fitting, since this is about legacy, that I would introduce my daughter. So Olivia, tell folks a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. I am very excited to be here. A little bit about myself. Grew up in Howard County, Maryland, went to University of Maryland and got my degree in journalism. I think one of the things that I learned early on from a legacy mindset is life is gonna throw you curveballs. I got my degree in journalism and watched the death of print happen while I was getting my degree, and quickly had to figure out a new dream for myself. And I've watched my parents do that for themselves, watched life kind of turn them over and have to reinvent. And I felt like I had to reinvent at a very early age. I spent 3 years in HR at Under Armour learning benefits, and then had the opportunity to move to New York and live with my brother. That was another reinvention moment. I knew HR wasn't the world for me, and I wanted to get into marketing, so I moved to New York, much to the fear of my parents without a job. But luckily my brother had me covered, and I was able to land at a funding platform for women entrepreneurs, which was another part of my mom's business journey. She raised capital for her business through crowdfunding, and I fell into the world of entrepreneurship, funding, and learned all about the fact that women do not get access to capital for their businesses. VC dollars are abysmal, but beyond that, I learned another blueprint. I think that venture capital becomes the highlight of the conversation for business owners, but the reality is the majority of businesses don't need to raise venture capital. The majority of businesses need solid business plans, solid business models to grow. And through that experience, I launched a program called I Fund Women of Color, because even on our platform, we recognize that women of color made up 70% of the women in our community, but only 30% of the funds being raised. And so much of that came down to mindset, right? It's like they were coming to the classes, they were learning how to do crowdfunding, but when it came to getting out there and asking for money, there was so much fear based in that, right? It's like, how do I go to my community and ask them to pour into me if I have doubt about myself? How can I ask them to believe in me if I don't even believe in myself? And so through community in that first year, we were able to raise the capital raised by women of color on the platform for 51% in 1 year. And that was just about working with partners to put money into those businesses. We were able to partner with businesses like American Express, Unilever, who did millions of dollars of grants into these women of color. And then they also were able to step out there and access capital for themselves. So I spent 5 years there and then moved out to Los Angeles in the last year and a half. And now I work for a company called Teachable, which is still in the entrepreneurship world, but people are able to build their businesses through online courses, digital downloads, and when it comes to those sustainable business models, I found that in a platform like Teachable, and now it's just about how do we get that information into the hands of more people. And I think the root of my entire journey is just about how can we help people become a better version of themselves. I know that that is my life mission, and I've watched my mom live out that mission as a beautiful example of what it looks like to not make it about yourself, but show how you can use your talent, your skill sets, and help other people grow and expand.
Wow, that's excellent setup for our next guest. And this is what legacy is about. So imagine all those videos that you saw dragging her along at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, being at a TD Jakes God's Leading Ladies and seeing her mom on stage, interviews, books, signings, and all of that. And I am curious, though, Olivia, you, in watching me with women and wealth, and somehow you find yourself, in many cases, women and entrepreneurship and building wealth from ownership, what kind of influence do you think your exposure led you to the finding your own skills, strengths, and your own superpower?
I think it was two things. I think one, it's confidence. I think I was able to step into rooms that many people who look like me haven't been able to step into with confidence, without fear, with the knowledge that I can show up in this space. I watched you really kind of grow and expand beyond to a level that a lot of entrepreneurs don't get to. The majority of businesses fail, and you've been at this grind for so long, and to see what that hard work and perseverance, but bigger than that, that vision and belief of yourself to achieve that vision, that's how I'm able to move and expand and reinvent when reinvention needs to strike. So I think that's one piece of it. I think the other piece of it is I'm a fan of words that have negative connotations, and I lived a very privileged life. And I don't think privilege is a bad thing. I think if you can honor and acknowledge your privilege, I think your ability to build upon the foundation that your family creates for you allows you to expand. And I acknowledge my privilege deeply and appreciate it. And so now I'm thinking, okay, she's built this business. I know I have my own personal passions. I know I want to be an entrepreneur. And so my thought process is, how do I take what she's created and grow it above and beyond for my own legacy, the next generation, and all of that?
Oh, I'm holding you to that. Did you hear that? I am holding you to that. And then finally, just on a funny note, this last week you wrote this post, right? I want to get to the money part of this, right? And you wrote this post on LinkedIn, and I read it. And it said, well, yeah, you know, in my first year, my freshman year, my mother said, I've got to get a job. And so I went and I found this job at the Office of Technology at University of Maryland. And like, I learned so many things. And so the question that I have for you, just around my expectations of you and your father's expectations of you, and the whole work and the work ethic aspect of it, what have you learned from that?
Yeah, I was home over the holidays last year looking through old pictures, and I found a picture of myself in the 3rd grade holding one of those awards, and it said, best work ethic. And I was like, I did not know what work ethic meant at the age of 8, but also the fact that my work ethic was instilled at me at such a young age that I was being honored for it at the age of 8, I think says a lot. But I think a lot of that came down to wanting to be in control of my finances, not wanting to ask for money, not wanting to be beholden to somebody else telling me yes or no. And I think starting to work, I mean, I started working in high school, but I think starting to
actually it was in middle school. You were 12 years old and you were teaching swim lessons.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, it's been a long journey. But I've always had my own money. And I think that's allowed me to do the things that I really wanted to do, right? I knew I always wanted to move to New York. Luckily, my brother footed that bill. But then moving to LA, that was me being able to do that for myself. But I think so much of it taught me that I have the power to do whatever it is that I want to do in my life. I have the knowledge, I have the education, I have the confidence to do that, but it all comes down to your financial acumen and your ability to set yourself up for success and not wait for somebody else to open the door for you. And you teach that so deeply.
Oh, well, let's give Olivia a round of applause. Thank you, Olivia. I want you to pull that picture back up of my mother, because I want you to understand the thread in all of this. You know, my mother, that woman from Pineapple, Alabama, I'm sure Olivia would agree with me, she had a phenomenal work ethic, right? A phenomenal work ethic. So at any level, you're able to transfer, right, those skills, we have a personal balance sheet. That's what I want you all to understand. And that personal balance sheet are our skills, right, which are, and our assets and our gifts and our talents. And so my mother gave what she could. Are y'all following me? There are levels to this. And then me seeing my mother's work ethic and saying, Mom, it's okay, I got you. You've poured into me, you've invested into me. I can take it to the next level from here. And then to see, that's Olivia's high school graduation picture, and to see that thread. You know, it's interesting, we all went out to dinner with one of my son's bosses, and he was fascinated with us, right? And so we're in New York, and we're in this restaurant. He says, I just gotta ask you, where did he get his work ethic? And so we all kind of looked at each other and we said, oh, that's in our DNA. So what I want you to know is that we're here because this is about legacy. But what I want you all to know is that in order for our, as women, for our families to get to the next level, we have to be willing to go to the next level. Are y'all following me? And so going to the next level sometimes means that we've got to challenge conventional wisdom. And so today, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to challenge conventional wisdom. You're going to be introduced to some women who have had significant obstacles placed in front of them, but what they all had in common was that they sought help. Now, the fact that all of you are in this room today, the fact that all of you are in this virtual room, you could be anywhere, but you're here. And so what I want you to know, this is my ask of all of you today, is that you will not just hear this information, you will not just go through these exercises in your workbook today, that you will actually have a system and a plan. We are giving you the plan, but the next step that you're going to have to take is that you're going to have to seek help to get to the next level. Are y'all with me? So today, the theme you're going to see with all of the women who are in the Wealth Secrets book is that theme. And that is, you can measure a woman's success by her ability to ask for help. Can I be real with y'all? A lot of you are thinking that you're going to do it in your own strength. And the fact is that you can only get to a certain level, are y'all with me? On your own strength. You know what you know. But in order to know more, you have to be willing to be vulnerable. And that means be in a place where you are willing to say, I don't know. But more importantly, and this is the most important thing, not only I don't know, but that I'm willing to challenge myself. And I'm willing to take the next step. And I'm willing to show up when I don't feel like showing up. Do you know in this community, every day in Wealthy You, every week in Wealthy You, we have some kind of training going on. And what I would tell you, what the women you're going to meet today in the Legacy Wealth Blueprint, what they have in common is they were the ones who took action, who showed up, so what was it, Star? Are you a finisher? Are you going to finish strong? Are you a finisher? Are you going to show up? Because I'll tell you, if you are willing to take action, right? If you are really willing to take ownership, there is no limit to the type of success that you're going to experience. So today, what we're going to do, our first exercise, really, I talked about it briefly. And our first exercise is, and it's our first secret, and it's making the shift from earner to owner. Now, I want you to recall that story, the first secret I discovered. The first secret really was that wealthy people don't buy the things, they own the things. Are y'all with me? And so for those of you who are in virtual, that first worksheet, that first exercise is really wealth secret number 1. And that is when you make decisions, when you make your financial decisions based on whether or not it is going to increase or decrease your net worth, you are going to make different decisions. And so right now I'm going to give you just a few minutes. You're not going to complete this all on your own, right? But these are just some questions and some prompts that are going to determine whether or not you are going to make the shift from earner to owner. Are you making your decisions like wealthy women do? What's the best use of this money? How can I invest and turn this income into wealth? And the question is, how does this compare to how you think about money? You know, one of the things I'm going to challenge all of you when you go home, and for those of you who are on virtual today, that you take a look at last month's bank statement, and you take a look at whether or not the decisions that you made with your money actually decreased or increased your net worth. So let's bring Star Babatoon up here. She's gonna do a little dish and talk about what were your takeaways from this first session on legacy, and let's get this party started.
All right. Let's give Deborah a round of applause, please. Deborah and Olivia. Can somebody say legacy? Can somebody say legacy? We're talking about legacy up in here. We're having conversations in this room that a lot of people like us don't have. Am I right? Yes, we are. And in that room over there, your room by yourself, you're having that legacy also. I just want to say hello to a couple people. I want to say hello to Rhonda, to Kimberly, to Jean, to Sabrina, Michelle. Hey, y'all. How y'all doing? All right. So here's what I want to know. I want to know, what did you get? What is your major takeaway from what you heard so far this morning? Now, Terry and I are in a group, and we like to do something called DISH, right? What did you discover? Or what inspired you? Or what surprised you? Or what touched your heart? Who's going to share with me today? Thank you very much. So here's how we're going to do this. When you stand up, you're going to announce yourself like you're proud of yourself, because this is a room of celebration. We got no side eye going on here. So you stand up and you tell us who you are.
Okay. My name is Makata Crane from Washington, D.C. Hold on, Makata. We're going to get you a mic. Okay.
That's even better idea. Even better idea. And so those of you who are online and you would like to participate, I need you to put your biggest takeaways in the chat for me. Do that for me. I appreciate it. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. My name is Makata Crane, and I'm from Washington, D.C. And one of the biggest things that I got from this first segment is what I don't know is hurting me.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That was a good one. That was a good one. Thank you, Makata.
Thank you.
Thank you. We got someone back there. Dr. Z in the house.
I'm Dr. Z, and I'm from Woodbridge, Virginia, and the biggest thing I've gotten is that wealthy people don't buy the things, they own the things, and that's how they leave their legacy.
That's
And we
right.
defeat
That's right.
the legacy.
Yes. Give her a round of applause. Give me a round of applause. Let me get one more. There we go. Right here, sister. All right, run that mic.
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
I'm Roxanne Johnson from Kansas City, Missouri, home of the Chiefs.
Yeah.
And I'm so inspired by Olivia, something that I always suspected that we need to be aware of and implement, but that is to reinvent and keep reinventing. And even when our money gets funny, we still need to reinvent, but with help.
I love it. I love it. And that's kind of the important part right there at the end, with help, right? We women, we black women, man, we're going to do it. Where's my cape? You know, I'm wearing that cape because I can do it all. Fry it up in the pan, bring the bacon, do the things. I can do all that. But at the end of the day, I love that. That's my favorite quote so far. You can measure a woman's success by her ability to ask for help. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. So give yourselves a round of applause for that.